Hey, hello there. So we are presenting our task given by Professor for the database. So this is called end-to-end database application following the three-tier enterprise model. And we are the two group members. Earlier we were four group members. Now we left that group and now we are two members, Hemant Kumar, that is me, and Shruti Gupta. So we will explain each component that was used in this project 4. And we will start with the part one, that is the Sleepy Hollow application related to login servlet that we used, that we worked on a NetBean, Apache NetBean. And then I will explain the details. And then there are six JSPs that we designed, and I will explain that part as well. I will also explain where to add the images and what are they related to, what are they related to in terms of SSN. So, and then Shruti will explain the browser verification of all this part one, and then we will further go for part two. Sorry about that. And this is the actually application, Android application that we will use, that we designed actually. And I will explain the main activity part of that one that is related to this login servlet, and I will further explain the other main activities from 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those are the JSPs files related to that, and let's go further. Adu. So we will start with the NetBean login servlet that we use to design the login servlet. This is the exact same thing that Professor taught us, except a few things that he used a couple of other things to get the social security number. In his table, I believe the SSN was, so let me show you first in the login servlet. In my database, we have SSN on three number three, like the object is on three number. So here we used as a three. The other things were like the same, like we used to get the request thing, and then we used the user and password, and we also need to use the driver for this OGDBC that we have already installed in the dependency, and we also use the uh, servlet API.jar file from the Apache NetBean that we have installed manually here, and then simply the query about that and the username per password. Professor used password.wrd. That didn't work for us because in our login servlet we have passwd. So passwd, yeah. So this is how the SSN, we can retrieve the SSN using the employee, sorry, the login table. And then if there is something here, we can just simply say that, yeah, this username is valid, and this is the object that will actually say about the social security number, as I just mentioned. This is in our case, it's on the third number. First is username, second is password, and third one is social security number. So if that doesn't work, it simply says no. So it doesn't say anything else, just say no. So let's first run this and see how does it work. And Shruti will explain further. So we, in my database, let's see, we have Michael Brown. Yeah, so we have Michael Brown. This is his password. And if there is a social security number, it will pass the social security number and before yes. So this is our login servlet. So before that, we need to I go to this Apache folder, and in Apache folder, I need to go to web apps, and web apps, I actually uh, used a folder Sleepy Hollow, and webinf classes, and here we see this login class, login Java, that is copied from the NetBean, Apache NetBean project from the target folder. So in that case, let's just run this thing. Okay, so I have already used this. Let's see. So let's just verify just in case. So Michael Brown is a username. And okay, so before that, sorry, before that, we also need to run the server. So let's uh, run the server. This is how we can run the server, Apache Tomcat web server. Uh, that's where we copied this Sleepy Hollow, sorry, the login servlet that we used. And yeah, one other thing that I forgot, like we use a web servlet annotation as the login edit is mentioned in the project. So this is how we need to use it. Now our server is running. Let's check if it's working or not. We kept the local host and the 8080, and this is a Sleepy Hollow folder that I show you. And then this is a login thing that we need to work. This is our annotation, and this is the username that I show you here. This is a username, this is a password, and if it is here, it will show us something. So let's run it. It shows already show that. Let's just so it says no. Okay, so if there is something, we can simply say it works. So something like that. So this is how our login servlet works. We can also work on some other uh let's say this is John Doe, and let's see, and then this is its password. Let's run and check it what it works. Yeah, so it works and it shows the a social security number of this person. So now let's go to the jump to the JSPs part and see how the JSPs are working, like each JSP. So for JSPs, like we need to copy all the JSP file to the Sleepy Hollow folder that is in the web apps of the Tomcat Apache server. And these are all six JSPs. That first one is info.jsp. The second one was transactions, I guess. And then the transaction details and award details and grant details and the transfer. So these are the six JSPs. Let's just see the first one, the inform.jsp. How does it work and what does it contain? So the basic rules are the same that professor gave us, that like the previous file that we all are using, I assume. So we just need to use this driver manager Oracle database for each GSP. We also use this university's server name and server ID and things, and the port number probably. And then this is my username that I'm connecting to this server based on uh, our Oracle database. So this step is to connect to the database. And now the important portion for in the info.jsp is this part, to how to make a query to get the social security number. So the first thing is what do we need actually. So in info.jsp, we have to give the input as a SSN, and based on that is SSN, we need to get the name of that person and the total sell that he has made. So all these informations are basically in my database or in employee, obviously, like the information of employee given on the SSN, because the SSN is given in the employee, and the name we can get the name from here. And we have to merge that, like not merge, like combine that with the employee sales. So we have a folder here, employee sales. So yeah, so employee cell has an SSN as well as a key, foreign key, and then from there we can just get the total cells directly, or just add all these sums to get the information. So let's see how the query is designed. So as I mentioned, ename is basically this is here I do the sum of all these uh, months, and we are getting this from the employee by giving the SSN. So SSN is generated here in our browser, or in the future we'll see the same on our Android app, and then it is merged with the employee cells, and if it is there, it will give group by that, and then it will provide us both of these. So let's see how does this thing work. So I have already written the social security number of person. The person name is Jen Smith, and the total sale is, let's see his runs. Okay, so it's working, but let's just and to the login ID. And then instead of using this Jen Smith, let's just run the John Doe. So I'm using this John Doe person, and the total sell of this person is 12,000, and its name is John Doe, and that we can also verify that in the EMP cells. So our EMP cells is employee cell. So the total cell is this one, 12,000. So this is how the info.jsp works. So if there is no anything get, we can say that please provide us SSN, or there is no nothing works. So let's see if that thing is working or not. Instead of this, yeah, it simply says no result found. So something like that. Yeah, it says no result found here, right? So this is how it works. It simply says like provide the correct SSN. So yeah, this is the first info.jsp file. So let's work on the second one, that is the transaction.jsp. So let's open and see what does it contain. So the structure is same, like we need to provide the SSN as an input as it's given in our project description. And if this is not empty or null, so we can choose the same method to connect it with the Oracle database. And then I provided my name and my username and password. And the important thing again here is to how to prepare the query. And the so this was simple. We don't need to get anything like merge anything. So let me show you first that in our transactions table, we need to get the we have a social security number as a key. So based on that, we can just retrieve the transaction ID, date, and the amount. Okay, so we can just create a basic query that says select transaction ID, transaction date, and amount from the transaction table that is available, and based on the social security number that we provide. If there is a social security number, it would work. If it doesn't work, then it will say like provide me the correct social security number. And if we don't provide anything, it will simply says like there is no social security number provided. I'm gonna show you both of these. So these transaction ID and date, and these are separated by comma here. So let's run this thing and then see how does it work. So let's see first, I don't provide any social security numbers. It would say the same like no social security number provided. And then when I see and run this one, it will simply says 102. So 987 is this one. And if we compare this one with, sorry, we compare with this one, we can see the ID, transaction ID is 10,002, and 15 February 2023, and then 2300 is amount of that person. Let's see if we run the first one. And okay, when we run this one, it says 1000, this 10,001, and this one and this one. So this actually related to the first employee. So yeah, this is how the .gsp transaction.jsp works. Yeah, so after that, let's work on the third JSP file that was related to transaction details, I guess. Yeah, let's open and see what is inside that. So the basic idea is the same, but like uh we need in our uh project description, we need to provide transaction ID instead of social security number that we provided before that, like info.jsp and transaction.jsp. So now we need to work on the TXN ID, that's a transaction ID. And if the transaction ID is not null and this, and then we can further move ahead. So that means the same pattern that we need to follow to connect to with the Oracle database. And now the for output would we would need the transaction date. So that is transaction date and the transaction amount that we already got from the previous transaction .jsp file, and we can get the transaction. So this information is available in our database in the transaction table. So let's see if it is there. So let's see. Yeah, so this is a transaction. We need the transaction date and the amount, so we can get these two output components from the transaction table. But and the third one was related to product, and the product name, and the product quantity. So for that, we need to make another query, and that is product name, product price, and the product quantity. But where does it lie? In our table, it lies in this one, transaction product relationship, and we need to join that with the product table to get all this information. So this is how the two queries are generated. First, to get the transaction from the transaction ID to get the date and the amount, and then that transaction ID was used in let me just show you in the database. So this is the transaction ID of this particular user, and this is the transaction product relationship. So in that, we simply get these products. So these are the 10,001 are the transaction ID, and they were related to that these products 101, 125 till 105, and this was the quantity. So this information is gotten from this one, but we still need the date. Sorry, not the date, like the names of the products and the type of the product. So that is available in. So with the product ID, we can simply go to the products, because this is here the relationship of the product ID and the like internal product ID, transaction ID, and everything. So based on this product ID, we can see, okay, this was laptop and the price of this and this, and we could also get the quantity from the relationship of this transaction product quantity, transaction product relationship. So based on that, we got all the information, and these are separated by these comma. And if we don't provide any transaction ID, it will simply say like you didn't provide the transaction ID. So let's run this and see how does it work. So for my database, we have let's say transactions. Go to the transactions. Okay, so these are the transactions. Now if I use, let's say, 101, 10,001, and then this is the information. So date is there, right? And the amount is here, this one, and the laptop price was this is the product type, and the price of that, and the quantity of that, and how many products are related to this particular transaction ID. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 products, and each one has their own respective prices and their uh, quantity. So let's run another one, let's say the other one. So yeah, you can see the other one 10,002 is 2,300. Quantity is this, price is this, and everything. So we can just say like this transaction details also works accurately. Okay, now after that we have another GSP file, which I believe, yeah, award id.gsp. So let's see and run what does it contain. So it will require the SSN again, and then we need to see if SSN is there or not. If not empty or something, if it's empty, then it will say no SSN provided. And these three lines to connect with the GSP. Oh, sorry, not the GSP, like the to the Oracle server of GMU. And then the important thing in every JSP file is how to design a query. So we need like we give the input as in social security number, SSN, and then we get the information of award ID of that particular employee. And this information in my table is available in the granted table, that we have a SSN in. We provide the SSN, and we can simply get the award ID of that specific employee SSN in a granted table. So let me show you first that. So I'm on a granted, we have this social security number, and this is the granted table. And in this, I can simply get the award ID. So this was as simple as that. So let's see if I go to my this thing and I provide. So let's see if I go here, and instead of using already this thing, let me just get the first one. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is award ID is one. Okay. Now let's see if I run the last one. 5, 1, 5, 6, 1, 7, 1, 7, 1. So this is award ID 10. So this is how the .gsp award.gsp works. And it's still like, as I say, in the Sleepy Hollow folder in of the Apache web server. Now after that, like we have another .gsp file that is related to granted details. I believe this is the second last. So let's see what does it require. So according to the project description, we would need to have a, let me see. So in a grant details, we would have to have, we need to provide two input arguments like award ID and the employee SS social SSN. And then we want to have award date and award center number, two output from these. So this was one of the difficult query designing for me. Like it took a lot of time. So the idea is same. We need to have input parameters in on a browser anywhere. So unlike the previous one, we need to have two input parameters here. That is award ID that we got from the previous one, and then the social security number. And we need to set an if statement if these are available, then okay. If not, then these are not provided. So these three statements are the same to connect to the database. And now before going to this query, let me just show you how can we get all this information. So from the award ID, from the social security number and award ID, if we go here, these two are available in the granted table, right? So if we get this information, and if we want to have the date, we can simply get the date from here. Okay. And then we can also get the center ID. And using this center ID, we can simply go to the award center and see here that this center ID and the get the name of this one. So we need to merge two tables, not merge, like join two tables and get the name of this one. So this is how it is working here. We got the award date and the center name from the granted, like center ID from the granted, and then join it with the award center. And then we got the award using the center ID uh, of that one and the social security number of that one. We simply get the about the date as well as the center name here, using to combining granted table and the award center table. So this is how it works. So if something is there, we can get the information. If it's not there, so it will simply doesn't show anything. So let's see how does it work. So yeah, first let's see, let's just compare with the granted table, because it will have social security number as well as the award ID. So let's see granted details.jsp in a Sleepy Hollow, and we are providing the award ID 5, and then this one, let's see, should work. Okay, so that means like award ID 5, this one, and 7788999 and then this is the Malala Yousafzai Center. We can just simply go and check the award ID 5, award ID 5 in the award centers. So award centers and the award ID 5 is a Malala Yousafzai this thing. But we can also check something else to see everything is okay. So let's go back to granted, use another social security number. Let's see, I'm gonna use this one and see. And I'm gonna use the award center, this one, and that is only one. Okay, this is award ID. By this, we got the center ID, and now we can see, go and check the who, which is the center ID here. Center ID is right there, and that is Fez Ahmed Fez Little Library. So we can see that here. So that means it's working perfectly. Okay, now we have the one last .gsp file, that is transfer.jsp. So let's see what does it contain. So according to the project assignment, we would need to have we need to provide three input arguments, social source SSN, destination SSN, and the transfer amount. So this is the basic thing that we have in our database. So let's see what is in our database. So the JSP was easy to design because we just need to get information from the one table and not to join two tables. So we have this source social security number, destination security number, and then we need to provide the amount. So uh, if this works, if there is anything there, it will say in my this thing. Let's just go there. So it will give three input arguments that user has to add. First one is for source, the second one is for destination SSN, and the last one is the amount. So these three statements are obviously the same that we have been using to connect to the our Oracle database. And this is the query. This is as simple as it is. Just go to the transfer table and then select these three things. That is social security number, from where, and this. And we have basically these three things. So except the date. So date has been removed, and then we just gathered these three things. And if it is nothing is there, we can just uh, I wrote somewhere that was like no such transfer found. So let's see how does it work. So this is our this is let's first check it in a database, and then based on that we can see. So this is a source SSN, this is our destination SSN, and this is the amount. So this is the source SSN is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. The destination is 987, and this, and when I see press it, it would say the transfer completed. If I write, let's say, instead of 1500 150, it would simply say no transfer found. So this is how all these GSP works. And before going to the Android application, I'm gonna show that these are the images that I have added for 5 users, and then I will further explain this in the Android Studio part for the part two of this project. And now Shruti will explain again all these things, that how does this thing works, and we can just verify these on with our database. Shruti will explain how all these JSP files are run.
So
Over to you,
first of all,
Shruti.
we need to start up the Tomcat server. So once it starts running, we have to, let's check that the login Java servlet is working or not. We just have put on Michael Brown as the username, and the password is given as the password from the database. And you can see that it works fine. We can log in and we can see the user's SSN as well. And it matches with the database, as you can see. Right. Coming to Java server pages, the first one is info.jsp. In that, the request input parameter is employee SSN, which we got from the login page. Once we enter that, we can see the name of the employee as well as the total sales achieved by the employee for the particular year. And we can also check it from the particular database. Yeah. Okay, coming to the next JSP, which is transactions. In this one, we have to take the employee SSN as the input, which we got from the login page. Once we enter that, we can see the transaction ID, date, and the amount associated with the particular SSN, which can be verified from the database of transactions table. Yeah, you can see that the particular SSN matches with the transaction ID and the amount as well. Next is transaction details.jsp. For this particular JSP, we just have to input the transaction ID, which we got from the previous one. Once we enter that, we can see the transaction date, the transaction amount, product names, prices, and quantities belonging to the particular transaction ID. Um, to check it, we can see the transaction table, I guess.
Yeah, it's in a detail like we don't need to open it.
Okay. The next one is awards id.jsp. Here we just have to input the employee SSN. After putting that, we can see the number of award ID associated with the particular employee SSN. The next is granted details.jsp. Here we have to take two input parameters. One is award ID and the employee SSN, which we gathered from the previous JSP files. After entering that, we can see the award date, the center name for the specific award ID, and employee pair.
Okay, let's run and wrong SSN. Let's see what would happen.
Okay.
So it will not show anything. So
Mm-hmm.
if I run it like particular 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then it will run. Or I don't know. If we can run it, I can show you for the other uh SSN as well. So let's see what is in the award ID. Okay, we have a table. So okay, so award ID and this one. Okay, but I don't know like which award is associated with this one. Let's just run this as a login thing, and then we can check it. Let's say 9877. I don't know if it would work or not because 98765.
4321.
Okay, but I'm not sure what the award ID is. It could work, it could not work because the awards
Mm-hmm.
ID also match over this one. Okay, so this,
Yeah, there is an award.
yeah, so Abdul Sattar ED is the center name,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the address. And likewise, we can do the furthermore. So this is the last GSP page, Shruti.
Yeah, so the last JSP page is transfer.jsp. Here, the input parameters is source SSN, destination SSN, and the transfer amount. You can see the transfer complete message if there was a transaction involved with a particular SSNs. But if there is no transaction, it will say no such transfer found.
And we can also show if it is there. So let's say it's a
Okay.
transfer. Okay, so transfer would be this one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that means when we enter this assistant as a source, and this assistant, as you can see on the browser, as a destination, and the amount when I enter, so we see like the transfer is completed. So all these JSPs are working perfectly. And now I will explain each part of part two of the project, where I will explain how we all designed this 5 activities, and how did we go to log in this whole uh, 3-way enterprise application. Okay, so let's now go to this Android Studio and start the client side thing, client side application, where there are 6 uh, main activities and 1 login activity. So this is my main activity, which has like 2 edit text and 2 text views, and 1 login, or just a button, like a login button. I named it login to Sleepy Hollow. And just for the fun, I just add like a app designed by me, so by my name. So let's go the code of this one. So the code is pretty simple, like that we were taught in the class. So what happens is we have 2 edit text here and 1 button here, and all the operation would work on the button that I named as login to Sleepy Hollow. I think Sleepy Hollow, yes. So what happens here is like we request to the Volley jar, and that would work on the main activity. And then whatever we receive like from the user at the for a username and the password as a string, we will uh, give it to the URL like the way that we show you in Shruti and I show you in a browser. It's like the same thing. And once that thing requests to the server will respond if we have any information available on our database regarding that user and password. So that would give us information or like log into the other activity that is a man activity 2. If not, then it will say us like the incorrect password and username. So let's run it first and show you how does it work. So there was a one user. Let me show you. Where is it? It's on the other side, I guess. Uh, yeah. So this is my login in SQL, Oracle SQL table. Okay, this is a login table, and login table. Okay, it has been reset now, and the connection has been reset. Probably it would take a little time. Okay, so these are the 20 employees that we have in the Sleepy Hollow database. So let's see the first one, for example, John Doe, and I will like in the end of this recording, I will also show any random person. Let's say the second one, Jen Smith or Emily Johnson, Michael Brown, and Jessica, because these are the five people whose images I have added, right? The first five people. So I'm gonna show any of these five. So let's see the John Doe and the JD password 123. So let's work on that thing first. And so I remember the name because I have used it several times. Okay, John Doe. Okay, so it's login, right? It's from the main activity to the main activity two, right? It says here like all the intent would go from this activity that is the main activity to the main activity two. Now the information available is like first it says the welcome and then the name of that person, and I just like added the same image professor gave us to us, and the total sell he has made throughout like the year. So these are the things. The rest of the things I will explain one by one using this man activity 2, man activity 3, 4, 5, and then I will show you the exit, how exit works. Okay, so now we come to the after like login, we saw something like that. Okay, so this is the main activity 2 XML where the text view is set as a welcome message. The text view empty will fill it by the name of the person when we use the correct username and password. And the image will fill by the person of that SSN that belongs to that SSN belongs to that person that I'm going to show you like in a while. And this small text view will basically show us the total sales that person did. So now like this thing, text view and text view, like the bigger text view, like above the image and below the image, will basically show the name of the person and the total sell of the person. So like I'm expecting these two results, like maybe I'm gonna use another SSN instead of this one. So let's say John Doe or something, and then I will see the sale of that person during on these two text files on these two text files. And the image that will basically depend on the what SSN we use. So there are five images that we added in the Sleepy Hollow Apache Tomcat server, web server, and the image folder is here. So these are the five images that I use. So I can use any one, let's say this one, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. That is basically the, let me show you. So that's the first one, John Doe. So let's try this one. Like before that, let me just go through the code of this specific portion, and then I will, because main activity 2 is the most important, and like it will take you from this activity intent to the other activities, like the third one, transaction details, award details, and transfer. So all these JSP files that we created, so it will take all these button will take us to the main activity 3, for example, for transaction, and the main activity 4 for transaction details, main activity 5 for award details, and main activity 6 is for transfer, and exit is for just to exit the application. So let's go and just see this portion, the how the application, like the main activity 2, will retrieve the information from the info.jsp file, and give us like the same thing that we saw in the browser, like the one, like this one, name and the total cells. And then as I also show you the images, edit image folder, added into the Tomcat Apache web server in the Sleepy Hollow folder. So I'm going to show you how that has been implemented. So the first thing is that we initialize this image view. So that's where the image will be retrieved. And then the basic thing, just initializing the image view and text view. And then I send a request like the way we did on a browser, like Sleepy Hollow info.jsp. That will get us the SSN, and sorry, that will take the SSN as an input, and it will give the same output like the name and the total sales that will fill our text view. So this is our text view. The first text view will fill it up by the name. The second one would be filled by the total sales. So send the same. This is the same method, like send the request to the URL, and there are three arguments on this and this, and so the I saw that we were required to have this kind of format, and this is what we saw exactly in the browser. So, and that's separated, like the name and the totals is separated by the comma, so it's like separated by this one. And now the request has been sent. If it doesn't work, then it will show the, actually if it doesn't work, then it would not show us anything because we are already logged in. And for the image, we need to send a request on a direct image folder that is in a Sleepy Hollow folder, which is also in a Apache Tomcat server. And it will require the SSN plus .jpeg that I just show you. So what would happen is it will create a request and send a request, and if there is an image, it will get us an image. So let's run this first. So I used a John Doe before. If you think like we need to go something else, so let's use a second one, Jen Smith and JS password PS. Okay, so the password was JSPWD 321. Okay, what if it's a capital? That's not a capital. Okay, it's the JSPWD 321. Okay, so let's run. So yeah, so it gives us the basic text that is like welcome and the name of that person that belong to that assistant. It will give the image of that person and the total cell that he had met. So let's just verify this Jen Smith's password and then the image. Okay, so let's go. So the Jen Smith, let's first go here. Okay. So the Jen Smith was this one, 987654321, and that is here. And the image was like here, this one, and this is the password that we added, and this is the username that we added. So it's actually like showing us the exact thing. Okay, so now we are on the activity 2, like main activity 2, and as I told you, like all of these things are on the main activity 2. So like all the buttons that will take us to man activity 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's work on activity 3, that is related to transaction.jsp, and the button that I named as transactions, and it will take us the information that we saw in the browser to the man activity 3. So let's go and see what is on the XML of man activity 3. So it's very simple. It's one of the simple activities among all of these. So what happens is we have a text view here, and this text view will be filled by the information that the man activity 2 will give us. Like when we click to the man activity 2 button, the transaction button here, so it will send a request to transaction.jsp to the server, the JSP file, and then all the information that is retrieved, it will show us here. So the actual data, like the actual code is here in the main activity 2. So what happens is we just initiate the button, like the, as I told you, the transaction button, and then we send a like all the activity that would happen, that would like in terms of requesting, in terms of getting the information, would happen in the main activity 2. We, as I can show you, like for for transaction.jsp, we would just need the input as SSN, and all the information in terms of transaction ID, in terms of date, and the amount of that person, amount total, not the total amount, the monthly amount that we get from that person, we will see it in the transaction, sorry, the main activity 3. So this will just send a request SSN that we already get from the previous activity. So we don't need to initiate it, we just name it as an employee SSN. So this is the same URL that we use in the browser, and plus SSN, like, and that we just named it employee SSN. And we send a request to the get URL. And if we get anything, we would get, like, from this activity, that is a main activity, to the main activity 3 class, and the text view, it will show, it will, all the retrieved information from the transaction.jsp will be retrieved uh, on the main activity 3 text view. So this would be the information that will be passed here if it doesn't work. So there are some other SSN, probably there would be some SSN that we can log in, we can sign in, but there might not be a transaction for those people, because not all 20 employees get the transaction. So if there is no anything there, it would simply say the toast message as if that didn't work. So let's run this and see how it works. So I used the John Doe before. The first one, I show the Jane Smith. Let's work on the Emily Johnson and see, like, how does this work. So Emily Johnson, EMLI Johnson, and password is EJPWD121 123. Okay, so yeah, so it's still like the main activity 1 was a username, like the main activity. The second one was to provide, like, the main activity 2 has so many things, but the important thing that it requires was the name of that person, that is Emily Johnson here. Before that, we saw the Jane Smith and John Doe before that, and the amount, a total amount that so total sales amount that is shown. So it's also working. Now we are on the main activity. We want to go to the main activity 3 and see if there is anything that we can get. So before that, like before going to that, let's run the same thing on a server, or sorry, on the browser. So let's see what was the I 111223333. Okay. So let's see if there is any information we can gather here. Okay, so the transaction ID of Emily Johnson is 110,003. Date is this, and this is the total sale. Okay, now let's go and see. Now, not the total sell, like the monthly sell probably, because the total sell is way more than that. So that was around 90,000 here. So let's just go here and see. Okay, so this is the information that we get from the browser. We can just compare the information. So transaction ID 10,003, date is this thing, 3rd March and 2023 and 2100. So that means that works. But yeah, before going to that, like how did the main activity 3 works? The main activity 3 simply get the information from the transaction, like show the information to this XML, like this XML. Oh, sorry, no, so the text view, and it would simply get the information, get intent information from the main activity 2 and pass it to this transaction, this transaction details to the what is it called? The text view, get information to the text view. So this is how it works. Okay, so now let's work on the activity 4. Activity 4 is related to this transaction details button that is present in main activity 2. So once someone clicked, like the user clicked to that button, it will get back to the transaction details of that person. So what was the transaction details? Let's first see this on a browser. So the transaction details for were related to transaction details.jsp file that we used before. So what are the input? We need just transaction ID. So like going to the transaction details.jsp and giving the input as a transaction ID, we would get the information related to date and amount and of that particular ID, of course. And then the product name and product type and the quantity of that product. So that's the what was the product that has been used in that particular transaction ID. So that's basically the detail of those that particular transaction ID of that specific user. There could be many IDs, but I don't remember that I used like multiple transaction IDs. Like for example, like a single employee has more than two IDs uh for their transactions. So I don't think that's case for my case. I think there were 6 or 7 transaction IDs if I remember from the first two of the second project. And each product use like each employee has a one transaction ID, like they just use one transaction kind of thing. So yeah. So let's see like how does it work. So what would we need for the XML4, like main activity 4 XML file? So here there is this activity actually was one of the difficult, and it took me like 1 day to work on this thing, and then I realized that I could do it very easily, and I will let you know why I thought about that. So there is a simple like text view that just say okay to select the transaction ID, and this is a spinner. So as I told you, like in my database each employee or like a particular employee has only one transaction, so that transaction has a single ID. So if I had put more than one transaction on a specific employee, we could see like many transaction IDs, and based on those transaction ID, when we use select the item like in a spinner, we could see the different details in the transaction text view, all the transaction details like the same as this one. But I remember like we use only one transaction ID per user, so we can see only one transaction ID of user. So what happens here is simply like in a transaction, let's go first to, yeah. So this is a table for this is a code for transaction details table. Sorry, the button 2 that I show you here, transaction details. Okay, so what happens is we would get the SSN and pass the SSN to the main activity 4. And that's the only thing that the main activity 2 does here. And what happens in the main activity 4? Main activity 4, so I told you like this could be done easily. Um, like using the information that we I used from for the main activity 3. But once I get done with this, I thought like, oh yeah, I could do that easily. But what I did it here, so there's a spinner transaction ID. This is the text view details of the text view. That's where we get the all the retrieved information from transaction details.jsp, and then we use these IDs and everything, and we get the SSN passed from the main activity 2 here, and then we initialize the request queue, and that's the so this process could be done easily by the main activity 2 or 3 that we used in main activity 2, but I don't know what was I thinking. So I actually, for spinner, I again use this transaction details.jsp file information to get the transaction ID. So that was like my bad, but it's working, so doesn't matter. So it's the same process that we did for the activity 3 and main activity 2. So I did the same thing. If there is just to apply, just to send a URL request to transaction.jsp so that we can get the transaction ID from the transaction.jsp file, and then use it and then pass it to that particular what is it called, the spinner. Okay, and then from a spinner we can get the information retrieved from transaction detail.jsp, like here. Okay, like here, yeah, this one. And then from there we will pass the information to the all the detail information to the text view, that is this is here, like here. So one difficult thing which I was like debugging, that is like, we from the transaction.jsp we were basically receiving this part. So parsing took me a lot of time because the text view only required this number, 10,003, instead of getting all this. So I couldn't like debug why there was an error related to Orca 071 something. So then I needed to parse only the transaction ID and removing the date and other portion, and then pass it to then this transaction ID using the same method for transaction details in here. I just use this number, like this specific number that we received from the spinner, and use it and send a request to transaction.detail.jsp. And based on that, we received the whole detail. And if it doesn't work, so example, if so as I told you, there are 20 employees. Not every employee has a transaction ID. Not all of them did the transaction. Someone didn't do that in the table. So if I use a username and password of one particular employee, and based on that, if that user doesn't have any transaction of the products, like they didn't sell anything or anything, so we could receive simply that error fetch retrieving transaction details, because there is no any information related to that. So let's run this first and see like how does it whole thing works. Okay, previously I used we use Emily Johnson. Let's work on Michael Brown. So we will like verify that each part is working, like each this whole application is working for all of these members. So we can go up to 5 because we have 5 images saved. So we can use John Doe, Jen Smith, Emily Johnson that we have already used. Now we can work on Brown, and then we can see Jessica Garcia. So Michael Brown, see, and the password is MB password 789. 789. So yeah, so this is Michael Brown. Unfortunately, this is a lady here, like it should be a boy, but yeah. So this is the Michael Brown. Let's see what's this. So this is the SSN, and we can verify the SSN here. 445 444 55666. So that's the SSN of that person. So that was the first part, like sorry, that's the man activity 2. Then we go to the transaction man activity 3, and now we need to work on the transaction details here. So let's see if it works or not. So yeah, so the transaction ID, the spinner works, but as I told you, the each employee might have only one ID, so it will transaction ID, so it will just show the one. Otherwise, if I had more than that, it could show more than that. So Let's see if the same information we can get from the browser or not. Or okay, so let's see. This is the transaction ID 1004. Okay, so let's compare the information, and the transaction date is 22 March 2023. That's correct. 540 is the amount, 201, and everything is same. So yeah, so this part works. The only thing, like, this was one of the difficult portion that for me, that I took a lot of time on that. And just because uh I could get the information from here for transaction details and pass it to the main activity for spinner, and then simply use the spinner to get this information. So but what I did was, I again used the transaction.jsp file, get the information, like from the like the whole method for activity 3 was done again on activity 4. But yeah, it's still working, so it's fine. Okay, now let's work on the activity 5, that is related to award details, and that is specifically related to granted details.jsp. So this is the third button in the main activity 2. Once someone clicks it, it simply passes the SSN to the activity 5, and then all the work would be done on the activity 5. So it's a simple same code like from the previous one, like the transaction details. So it's the same for award details. Is simply if someone clicks on this award details button, and it will listen and then get the SSN, because the main activity 2 contains SSN as well from the previous activities. It will simply pass that SSN and like moving to the activity 5. So let's see what is in the XML file of the activity 5. So like the activity 4, this was like also very hard to work on, but like because of the parsing thing, that I can like let you know in a while. So what happens is, here it's a simple this is a simple text that simply says a user that select any award ID, and all the award IDs would be in the spinner. But because we have only one award ID per as employee, so there would be one only item in the spinner, and all the information that we get from the award IDs, we can see it in a granted award.jsp file, and that information will be retrieved here. So in another words, we would need two parameters for granted details.jsp. One is award ID, and the other one is SSN. Okay, so by using these two input parameters, we will get the information in terms of award date and the center name of that awards, right? So we have to use two things. First, we need to get the award ID using the award ID .gsp file, and then we will use that award ID, just the number. So this is where the I had the parsing situation. Like this is where it took a lot of time to work on. That's like just parsing this information, and then yeah, parsing like basically my spinner was getting this whole information, right? And then when I was passing this information to the granted details.jsp, it was showing me the same string related error. So it took me a little more time to work on this one as well. Like, but compared to the activity 4, it didn't take much time. But yeah, so we are expecting this information from the granted details.jsp, and we are also getting this information from our details.jsp just by putting an input of SSN. So let's see how does our main activity 5 works. So we have a spinner, we have a text view like the one we had in main activity 4. Now we would work on this activity, main activity 5, and these are the the text ID and the spinner ID. So first thing we would need is, we already get the intent SSN from the main activity 2. So we can work on award.gsp, because it would only require the SSN as an input. So now once we get it like the way we did previously, and use all these things, and it would pass the spinner this number, and then There was one thing that I needed to show you. Yeah, so this portion was like a kind of thing that I just needed the number only for the award ID. So it took a lot of time. And if there is no any ID related to that, because I told you there are 20 employees in the database of Sleepy Hollow, and not all of them has a transaction. So if there is no transaction, there might not be a transaction details. That I might like see one of these like in the end if the time doesn't pass. So I can show you that this message also gets there. So let's see further. Yeah. So passing that thing, like using this queuing request as from the previous, like the same thing. And now setting up this listener, now this spinner award ID that is available here. It will listen for this award ID, the number, and then once it gets it, fetch the details, and now we can work simply on a URL of our granted details.jsp that would require a award ID, and that we just got from here, like from the whole previous section, and then the SSN that we have the SSN. That's why we got the award details, award ID, and we got this from the man activity too. And then this will pass, and this, if there is no anything, then we can say error.jsp file this thing. There was one other thing that I forgot to tell. That's like, I don't know why, like for all doing all this thing, there was one other thing that was added, and I search on the internet, it says like this is an HTML something. So I also removed that, so I can just get the specific award ID number in terms of like a numeric value and the SSN values in basic format. So let's run this and then see what can we get from this one. So earlier I used uh we worked on Michael Brown. Let's see if the Garcia works or not. So let's go. And what would be the password? The password would be JDPWD. JGPWD. The password is 456. Okay, so this is Jessica Garcia. It's again, I mean, activity two was like to just get the username information and image and the total cell, so we can just see what's his SSN. So this is her SSN, Jessica Garcia 778899. We can see in the image as well. In the image, yes, 777889999. So we are on the right page. And now we need to work on the activity 5 that is related to award detail. Let's see if it works or not. So yeah, this is the same. So that says award ID 5, and this is the detail. So let's just verify this same detail on so the award, we know the award ID. We just need to get the assistant, correct assistant, because award ID is 5 for Jessica Garcia. Let's see what's the 7778899. Okay. The award ID was 5. Okay, so let's see if that works or not. So yeah, the information is same. Award ID is award date is sorry 15 May 2023, and center name is Malala Yousafzai Education Center, which is the same. So yeah, that works perfectly. Let's work on the activity 6 that is related to this transfer button, like the previous one, like active. The first button was related to transaction 3. Oh, sorry, the activity 3, 4, 5, and now the last activity is related to transfer 6. Active main activity 6, that is a transfer. So once the user clicks that button, it will lead it to the activity 6. So the activity 6, what does it do is like in the GUI, we have a headline, simply says transfer. We have another text view that will actually work, or it will show the whether a transfer complete or there is no transfer, like the way we show in a browser. And we have two added text. So one is to enter a destination social SSN number, and then the amount that was related, that was transferred to that employee. So we are assuming that because like it's also obvious thing that when the user log in into his account, he wanna check his transfer to another person. So here there is no source SSN that we use in the browser, because we are just assuming the SSN will be the same, the source SSN will be the same as the login SSN. So based on that, let's see how the code works, and then we will see about all the perspective, and then I will also show you another thing, that the last button that is related to exit. And before that, I'm gonna also show you one thing, that is what if nothing works, like out of those SSN, what if there is no transaction details of that particular transaction ID of that SSN? There is no award details, for example, there is no transfer. So what can we see during that time? So I will end like I will introduce that part, and then I will use the exit button to uh, exit the application. So let's first see the transfer button is more or less like the same as the award details and the transaction details button. What would it do is simply it will use the button transfer that I show you in the GUI of the main activity 2. It will get the employee. It has an employee ID, right, from the previous intents or from the previous activities. So it will simply pass it and then pass it to the main activity 6. So this is how, once the user click was the employee click the transfer button, it will simply go here. So like here, so he will see this screen. So let's see what is on the code of activity 6. So we have one added text destination, social security number. The other one is text amount that he has to put. He can get the information from the previous intent, like the main activity 2, social security numbers, like its own username. And then the amount that is transferred, it will simply show the message whether it's so it's simply like this one that doesn't show here anything. It's like let's see here. So we have this SSN. We are assuming that this is the username that is logged in, and the social security number 2 is a destination that he will enter, and then the amount he has transferred to the other employee. And if that works, it will show the transfer completed. If the amount is not work, then it will simply see that there is no user transfer found, so something like that. So we can see both of these scenario, and this is where the information can be seen, the transfer completed, and if there is no transfer, there is no transfer completed, something like that. So let's further see what is in this one. So we have just initialized this part, and then we get the social security number from the previous one, from man activity 2, and then the button will work. But before button, we need to put the strings like the social security number, destination social security number, and then the pass it to the. Now we have like both of these, like the amount and the social security number that we enter as a user. And now this is the same URL that we have been using. We need just social security number of source that we get from the man activity 2, and then we have the destination that we will enter, and the amount that we'll enter. Okay, and then it will work based on that. And if there is nothing there, we will see there is no error message that this is not here. So let's work on that first. So I'm adding the first one, John Doe, because I know that this guy transferred, or let's just go to the transfer table and see if what we have. So first, okay. Okay, so I remember that this is the first ID, John Doe. Okay, so he sent something to some amount to what is it called, the destination, this thing, and this is the amounts, right? So I don't know which IDs are these. I need to check it, but we can just verify it again. But let's see. This is a John Doe's ID that I know, the first one, 1 2 3 4 5 6, and then he transfers the amounts to this one, so we can just see it again. 1 2 3 4, and he sent the information to 987. That is the second person. Okay, let's just run this one. So Okay, it says the incorrect password. Maybe the password is wrong, so it simply says incorrect password here. Let's see. So John Doe JD password one, so it should be correct, I believe. I use it many times. So what is the password? Oh, capital, I think. Yeah, it's already capital. John Doe JD password 123. Still incorrect. Let me just run the server again. This could be the case. Let's run it again. Yeah, okay, that was the issue. So we are again on the main activity two. We have already worked on the transactions, transaction details, transaction award details, and now we are on the second last button. That's the transfer. That's the main activity six. Let's go there. And now it's asking about the destination, enter destination social security number, and also the enter the amount. So from the this screen we can see the 98765. So basically we don't need to enter, as I mentioned, the social security number, social security number, because it's already passed from the ban activity 2, and now we just need to enter this amount, sorry, that this destination security number. So let's say 987654321. Now the amount, I remember the amount. Okay, so it says transfer complete. Okay, so for example, let's see if I say this one. So it say no such transfer found. So it's like the same I show you previously. So yeah, this is how it works. Now, before going like ending this, like let's just see like one other thing that I'm promised to show you that everything works fine. So I added 5 images, like we were told to add 5 images here, so I didn't add the sixth one. So let's see if the next, let's say William Martinez work. So what would it see? What would happen? So I added a error image just for fun. Let's go and see William Martinez. And the password was WMPWD654. So if there is no image, or let's say if there is no any transaction ID or something else, like, so nothing would work. Okay, so currently says we have an incorrect password or something. Can at least log in into that account. William Martinez. William Martinez, what's the password? WMPWD654. WMPWD654. Okay, so maybe this one is wrong. Or maybe there is an error with the server. Okay, so once we enter into that, we can see that the welcome message, William, he has a sale this amount, but because there is no image that I added, so on the left side you can see I added an image error.jpg that will simply give us an error message that there is no information related to image about this person, right? So let's see on the transaction, probably if the transaction, if he had the transaction, we can get something. If he doesn't have a transaction, we can't get anything. And if we don't have a transaction, chances are there is no transaction details as well. So let's go there first. So he has a transaction. So yeah, it works for the sixth user as well, right? Just because I was just showing that there is no image, so based on that, it didn't work anything. like it would not show the image. There's no activity, it's just I did it for fun. So we need to work on the what would happen if a user logged in into the application, and out of these he gets all this information, and then these option to select these buttons like transaction, transaction details, transaction our details, transfer, everything. And what if he like he changes his mind and just log out from the application. So we need to see what's on the how can he log out from the application and like closing all these activities. So on a man activity, this is also about a non-man activity. I forgot to add this exit button. So let's see. Yeah, so this is for exit button. And what it does is simply like ask the like listen to on the this exit button and says like close everything, finish activity that function, and says just close everything, that means just sign out. So this could be one of the options to work on that. So let's see. So I want to go here and write the first user, John Doe, and then JD password 123, then go here, and it will show his information like the previous one. And when they enter exit, it will simply say exit. And also the like just like welcoming message, I could change that, but I didn't do that. It just welcome and the social security number, that's it. So this is how our application works overall, like the three enterprise application works.